Hello, this is Krystal and thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be reading from the beginning of Nicholas Sparks' The Wish. 'Tis the Season. Manhattan, December 2019. Whenever December rolled around, Manhattan transformed itself into a city that Maggie didn't always recognize. Tourists thronged the shows on Broadway and flooded the sidewalks outside department stores in Midtown, forming a slow-moving river of pedestrians. Boutiques and restaurants overflowed with shoppers, clutching bags. Christmas music filtered from hidden speakers, and hotel lobbies sparkled with decorations. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree was lit by multicolored bulbs, and the flashes of thousands of iPhones and crosstown traffic, never speedy in the best of times, became so jammed up that it was often quicker to walk than to take a cab. But walking had its own challenges. Frigid wind frequently whipped between the buildings, necessitating thermal underwear, plentiful fleece, and jackets zipped to the collars. Maggie Dawes, who considered herself a free spirit consumed by wanderlust, had always loved the idea of a New York Christmas, albeit in a look how pretty postcard kind of way. In reality, like a lot of New Yorkers, she did her best to avoid Midtown during the holidays. Instead, she either stayed close to her home in Chelsea or, more commonly, fled to warmer climes. As a travel photographer, she sometimes thought of herself less as a New Yorker and more as a nomad who happened to have a permanent address in the city. In a notebook she kept in the drawer of her nightstand, she'd compiled a list of more than 100 places she still wanted to visit. Some of them so obscure or remote that even reaching them would be a challenge. Since dropping out of college 20 years ago, she'd been adding to the list, noting places that sparked her imagination for one reason or another, even as her travels enabled her to cross out other destinations. With a camera slung over her shoulder, she'd visited every continent, more than 82 countries, and 43 of the 50 states. She'd taken tens of thousands of photographs, from images of wildlife in the Okavango Delta in Botswana to shots of the Aurora Borealis in Lapland. There were photographs taken as she'd hiked the Inca Trail, others from the Skeleton Coast in Namibia, still more among the ruins of Timbuktu. 12 years ago, she'd learned to scuba dive and had spent 10 days documenting marine life in Raha Empot. 4 years ago, she'd hiked to the famous Poro Taksang, or Tiger's Nest, a Buddhist monastery built into a cliffside in Bhutan with panoramic views of the Himalayas. Others had often marveled at her adventures, but she'd learned that adventure is a word with many connotations, not all of them good. A case in point was the adventure she was on now. That's how she sometimes described it to her Instagram followers and YouTube subscribers. The one that kept her largely confined to either her gallery or her small 2-bedroom apartment on West 19th Street, instead of venturing to more exotic locales. The same adventure that led to occasional thoughts of suicide. Oh, she'd never actually do it. The thought terrified her, and she'd admitted as much in one of the many videos she'd created for YouTube. For almost 10 years, her videos had been rather ordinary as far as photographers' posts went. She'd described her decision-making process when taking pictures, offered numerous Photoshop tutorials, and reviewed new cameras and their many accessories, usually posting 2 or 3 times a month. Those YouTube videos, in addition to her Instagram posts and Facebook pages, and the blog on her website, had always been popular with photography geeks, while also varnishing her professional reputation. 3.5 years ago, however, on a whim, she posted a video to her YouTube channel about her recent diagnosis, one that had nothing to do with photography. The video, a rambling, unfiltered description of the fear and uncertainty she suddenly felt when she learned. And if you would like to know what diagnosis she had, you can check this book out here at the library. I deeply apologize if I butchered any of those foreign locations I'd never even heard of. Please leave a comment in the comment section with the proper pronunciation for some of those locations. And join me here next week as I kick off our month of Thurton Wilder in celebration of Henry County Reads, in which we are giving away 500 copies of Thurton Wilder's Our Town during the month of September. Thank you and have a great